Hello my gorgeous makeup loving friends. Welcome to another review roundup. This is where I take a number of products and try them over a couple of days, sometimes weeks, to try and determine what these products are like. Are they necessarily worth your money? So I have pretty much almost a full face of things here to discuss. So if you want to see what it is that I think of these particular things, this is the one for you. So what is it that we're looking at? Let's start off with the eyes. So I have the Trendy in Tokyo by BH Cosmetics. It looks like this. I will be using this a little bit on my eyes. So again, if you want to see how I did this, that is part of the video. I have the WetnWild Jungle Rock palette. It looks like this. So again, review on this is part of this video. And I have the Natasha Denona Mini Tropic palette, which is a little 5-pan palette, which looks like this. I love that satisfying click. It's fabulous. In addition to makeup products, I am also looking at makeup accessories or tools. So I have the... Hello, I have a cat who's just walked in the door, so there you go. I have the Revolution Pro CC Perfecting Foundation. You can probably see there I've used a decent chunk of it. I have it in the shade F1 because I'm a pasty ghost, and I have this on my face obviously, so I'll be telling you what I think of that. I have the Bare Minerals foundation brush, and I will be using that and also telling you what it is that I think of this particular application tool. I'm also looking at the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer in the shade Fair Rose in terms of using it as a concealer, and I'm also looking at how the Zoeva Concealer Buffer Brush works and whether or not that is worth your money. I have, what else do I have? I have quite a few things. I have the W7 Life's a Beach Matte Bronzing Powder in the shade Beach Please. And it's quite orange, but I will tell you what I think of that. I have the Benefit Georgia Mini. It's a little blush and it looks like this. So again, I've been using this for a while, and I will let you, because you can actually kind of see the name Georgia has kind of faded a little bit off it. I'll be talking about that. I have the e.l.f. Halo Glow Setting Powder in the shade Light. And I have, what else do I have? I always feel like I'm missing out on things. I have the Charlotte Tilbury K.I.S.S.I.N.G lipstick in the shade Love Note. And finally, I have some Suva Hydra liners in Space Panda, Acid Trip, etc. to talk about and tell you what it is that I think of them. So if you are interested in that, then this is the video for you. I spoke too soon. Sorry, I think I forgot to actually talk about the e.l.f. Camo and the Zoeva Buffer Brush. Quite possibly, who knows, and I forgot to give them a rating. In terms of this, I would happily give this a 10 out of 10. The price is really good, it works really well, there is no creasing and there is no settling into fine lines, and I do have fine lines. There's a Zoeva Buffer Brush, the Concealer Buffer Brush. Again, this works really, really nicely. It blends things really beautifully. It's easy to clean. I'm happy to recommend that as well. So again, I would give that a 10 out of 10. And that is properly it. I'm very sorry. Anyways, I'll get there eventually. That is the end of the video. All of the rest of the things still apply. You know, do like, comment, subscribe, do share unless it's an STD, etc, etc. But that is properly it. You can go now. Go out into the outside world and socially distance, and one day everything will be normal again. Don't quote me on that, you know, just in case. That is it. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye. So I've already actually put some sellotape on. I have primed my eyelids. I've thrown things all around this table. Still drinking tea. And yeah, so I have 3 palettes here that I want to talk about in terms of my review roundup. As to whether or not I'll get to use all of them in this video, who really knows. I have the Natasha Denona Mini Tropic palette, I have the Trendy in Tokyo palette, and I have the Bretman Rock Jungle Rock palette by WetnWild. So I'm not entirely certain as to which one I'm going to go into and how exactly I plan on doing this. standard really, isn't it? So I am going to use this Madison brush. It's an M9. And I'm going into the Bretman Rock Jungle Rock palette into Feline Myself. Oh, Elena, who gifted this to me, she has actually done a review of this palette. I literally watched it before I sat down to film this. So it's fresh in my mind. I will link her channel and that video down below. She said in the video, she was like, oh, you know, we do that. We just like, we link each other. And I'm like, we do. We're friends. And I am eternally grateful that I met her. She is just a wonderful human being. We did Zumba the other night. Oh, my sweet merciful Zeus. I mean, it was Tuesday that we did it. And we were meant to do it on Thursday. But she wasn't available. And anyways, oh my god, we did it for the hour, and oh my god, I am just so uncoordinated. And there she was, just flinging herself around and like looking cool and poised and just glam. I mean, she has like a full like eye look done, and she's just there running around and like jumping around the place. And I'm like, okay, I've got an old t-shirt on and I just about managed to find a sports bra, so we are two very different people, very, very different people. But I love her beyond, just beyond. She's just such a fabulous person. I am taking the same brush again, and I'm going into the Natasha Denona Mini Tropic palette. Who thought putting WetnWild and Natasha Denona together? Wonders will never cease. And I'm going into the pale purple there, and just putting that on top. But it was really funny because there were certain things that she was doing as part of the moves, and you have to like do these like hand movements. So you have to go like this. Don't mind my finger wings. Like this. It was one of the dances, and I just couldn't coordinate it, and she was going so fast, and I was like, oh. So I was just like flailing around a little bit, like, you know Kermit from the Muppet Show, and you know how when he's introducing the Muppet and he's like, it's the Muppet Show. So that was essentially what I was doing. So thankfully I have no shame, so I was like, yeah, okay, whatever, it is what it is. But it was good fun. The two of these merge very, very well, to the point that it's almost difficult to see where one ends and the other one begins. So that's nice. Makes my life a little bit easier. How is everyone else doing? Are you exercising? How are you keeping up with that? Because obviously gyms are still closed. You know, everything is still closed. It's a bit rubbish. You know, there are all these things of like, you know, use stuff at home. And Katrina, you know exactly what it is that I'm thinking of, because we came up with a very weird get fit thing around stuff she could use in her house. I'm not going to go into it because it's a weird in-joke and everyone's going to think I'm a horrible person for what I was saying. But yeah, let me know down below. How are you doing? And by the way, like, it's totally fine if you're not exercising. It's totally fine if you are just about like keeping it together and are tired and are, I mean, it's not fine. Like, obviously I prefer for you to be doing really well, but like, what I mean is there is no judgment. Everyone is going through weird stuff at the moment. Like, it's a whole collective moment. I am going to take this same brush again because I'm basic, and I'm going to go into the Trendy in Tokyo, and I'm going into Kyoto, which is a dark purple. It's quite cool toned, and I'm going to use that and just try and blend it up. Hard to kind of get it into the crease. That was the main thing I found with these purples. Now, why have I gone for purple? I want to show you the quality of the purples in these palettes, because, and I've said this so many times on my channel, you've probably heard it on other people's channels, purples and blues, by the way, are very difficult to formulate. They can come out very patchy and just be difficult to work with. So I wanted to kind of take the shades from these palettes that would kind of give you the most difficulty and just be really transparent in how I found them and what it is that I think of them, because I don't ever want you guys to spend frightening amounts of money on things that aren't necessary. I'm the one who does that. You don't need to do it. I'll make those mistakes for you. You're welcome. I'm taking this Juvia's Place brush. It is clean. I spot cleaned it, so we're all okay. I'm taking Kyoto again and I'm popping it there and I'm just blending it up. I'm going to take this Jessup 231, it's a Luxe Petite Crease. I'm going into the Natasha Denona into the pale lilac. And I'm going to smash that on the outside because I want to blend that a little bit more. Just taking a bit more Kyoto and just putting it there. There. That's a smidge better. As per usual, I have absolutely no idea what it is that I'm doing. Look, we're all friends here. I'm going to try and do a bit of a halo eye. I have this little accent brush by Real Techniques, and I have this Juvia's Place concealer, which I find really, really handy for this. It's in, I think it's J24, which is the lightest shade. So I'm just going to pop it there. So the cup crease is done, or not the cup crease, halo eye. Good Lord, Teresa, where are you going with a cup crease? Although I have been doing a lot of cup creases these days. Like, who do I think I am? Hashtag notions. I will go into the Jungle Rock palette, and I'm going to go into the shade Liar and Cheetah. So it's this one. As Elena pointed out in her video, she's like, there's so many puns. And I'm like, yeah, there are a lot of puns. The shimmers in this are actually very nice, I have to say. Is it a messy AF halo eye? Yeah. But whatevs, it's fine. It's fine. Stop judging me. It's hurting my feelings. And you don't want to hurt my feelings, because that's not nice. I'm taking this Morphe Jeffree Star brush. It's the JS6, and I'm just going to use that to just kind of gently do a little bit of swishy. Or, I guess as some people call it, blendy. I just picked up a little bit more of the Liar and Cheetah, just because I want to really gently blend it. Quite like how that's coming out, and oh god, I'm using so many more brushes than I ever used to. Elena, I 5000% blame you for this. You're a bad influence, but I love you, so it's fine. I am using this Juvia's Place brush, and I'm going into the shade Don't Be Lion, which again is just another pun, and I'm just gonna put it up here. I'm gonna do a little bit of a highlight, nothing major. I can never get eyeshadow to stick properly up here. I don't know what it is. It's just a weird spot on my eye. But I've heard of other people having it, so I'm like, maybe I'm a complete freak. I'm actually going to keep the liner on, or not the liner, the sellotape on. I swear that was just sheer, like a Freudian slip. God, I can't even remember my words these days. What's wrong with me? Because actually I have these Suva Beauty eyeliners, and they're the Hydra FX liners, and I want to play with them. I actually, shortly after I got these, I got an email saying, giving advice on how to make sure that they don't crack. So I want to show that with you guys. They also sent on this brush as part of the set that I got. It's nice, it's small. It allows me to do things. So what you have to do is, you can tell I've been using it. I have the white one, it's Space Panda, right? So what you have to do, actually I might put my glasses on just to do this bit so I can see what I'm doing. And my glasses are filthy, as per usual. Welcome to my world. God, my fringe. So they said to put a bit of water on, mix it, and you have to wait until it gets to essentially the consistency of melted ice cream. And yeah, I've put a teeny tiny bit in. I'm starting to get there. I'm kind of, don't know if you can see that properly. Anyways, take my word for it, and I'm going to keep going because I want a decent amount, and I want it to be fairly opaque, and I find it dries pretty quickly. Now, you do not want to put several coats on top of each other. Why? Because if you put several coats on top of each other, that's when you get the cracking, according to them. So yeah, don't do that, or they will find you. So I'm putting a little bit more, and I'm getting more towards the consistency of the melted ice cream. God, I love ice cream. I did actually have an ice cream earlier because it is so warm, so I can do what I like, and you're not my parents. So, yeah. Unless you are my mum and dad watching, in which case I want to remind you I'm a 30-year-old woman. So the consistency, I don't know if you can see because it is white. The consistency is something a little bit more like that. So let's do this. Let's do this. Oh God, this never goes right. So I'm keeping the sellotape on because I'm horrific at liner. So yeah, thought it'd be nice to put the white on. And the liner brush itself is really nice because it is very skinny. Sorry, it's like skipping over the shadow because I'm bad at this. Don't judge the liner based upon my rubbish lining skills. So yeah, that's that. Shall we peel off the sellotape together? What do you think? Will we do that? Will we do that as a family? I'm trying to remember to put the little thing back in the liner brush. Yes, I'm getting there. First tea. Oh, stupendous. Has gotten a bit cold, but like, you know, it'll do. Right. How are we doing, guys? How's it going? I mean, I totally need to clean up around here. Don't judge me. I go in with a white. You know what? You do makeup whatever way it suits you. It's fine. There we go. I have a much cleaner line then that way. I mean, I still have to like clean up some bits, but see, it looks pretty okay. All things considered. Now, let's try this one. There we go. Yeah, so that's that bit. I don't have any new mascara that I'm talking about. I don't have any new lashes, that I'm talking about. No new eyeliners. So, and no new primer. So, I'm going to go off and finish that little bit of my makeup, and we'll come back, and I have other bits and pieces that I want to show you and work with and let you know what I think of them. So obviously now that I'm primed, I am going to be putting on some foundation, and I'm going to be using this brush that I've also been testing out, which was gifted to me by Rebecca. Again, I'm going to put her channel down below. She's fabulous. And the foundation that I have here is the CC Perfecting Foundation by Revolution Pro, which was gifted to me by Anne-Marie. Now, you don't need a huge amount of this. I'm going to put one pump to start off with. It does come out a little bit spurty. There we go, actually, told a lie, I took 2 pumps. Sauce. I have it in the shade F1. It is a very dewy sort of a finish. For reference, my skin type is normal. I don't have dry, don't have combo, don't have oily. It is what it is. 30-year-old skin. I'm very pale. In case we haven't discussed this already. In Hourglass I'm the shade Alabaster. In this I'm the shade F1. In the Revolution matte base I'm F0.5. So I'm very, 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 very fair. You know, Snow White ain't got nothing on me. So I'm just applying using this brush. It is the Bare Minerals brush. So one of the things I've really enjoyed about this brush is the minimal product wastage. I like that even when because I've washed it by the way since I started using it, and I've been testing it out for quite some time now, that when I am washing it, very little foundation actually comes out of it, because you see you're managing to get everything that you've actually applied onto the brush. It gives you quite a nice sort of a finish. You know, you don't get any streaks, any lines as you sometimes get with a brush. It's very easy to work it in. Like, even you could see there I had the color corrector and it kind of meshes the two of them together. I wanted to show you that, and apparently my skin did too, because it was like, yeah, you need to color correct, Teresa, you need to color correct. The shade is a really, really good match for me. Just bringing it down onto the neck, because, you know, otherwise, baby Jesus will cry. Not really going to bother doing any contouring today, I don't feel like it. I might take a little bit more foundation, just one little pump more. You don't need a lot, I just want a little bit extra coverage, and off we pop. I have Cece here right next to me in the chair downstairs, because that is where I am, in the sitting room of my parents' house. I'm going to be here for the rest of my life. It's okay. It does look like there's movement there, so we'll be okay. Everything will be fine. So yeah, that seems to have gone in really nicely. Like you can see, there's no streaks, there's no lines. It is all blended, everything together really, really nicely. If I show you the brush, you'll see there's very little product left on it. It just works it all together really, really nicely. Yeah, so I think you can kind of tell. I do like that brush. I find it really, really good. I also have another brush that I've been testing out. It's the Zoeva Concealer Buffer Brush, and I am using a new, to me, concealer. It is the e.l.f. Hydrating 24-hour hydrating camo concealer, and it is in the shade Fair Rose. This was again gifted to me by Anne-Marie, but Paula also got me one as well, so thank you ladies, you are the best. I'm going to pop, the smallest amount, tiny amount, because with this you do not need a lot. I like to just put a little bit under my eyes. Sometimes I take a notion and I put it on my nose as well, but I don't really need it there. So you can see there, it buffs it out really nicely. This is actually a very good shade match for myself. I find it amazing that people were able to shade match me so well, having not met me in person to see the full extent of the Casper. You can see it meshes in with the foundation really, really nicely as well. And again with this, you don't get any lines, you don't get any streaks. I have a few little fine lines under my eyes because apparently I'm aging. It's very irritating. As soon as lockdown is over, I need to get Botox and just sort this out. But this is a nice foundation. It is a nice foundation, but it's a nice concealer because it doesn't get into those lines. I'm just going to put a little bit of concealer there and up to here. Just whatever is left, because I don't want to use a huge amount. I don't like using a huge amount of product. I don't like cake face on me. I think it looks lovely on other people, but on me, no bueno, no bueno. So next thing, let's see, I have to find the brush that I like to use. I have this little Real Techniques base shadow brush. I like to use this, and I'm using it with the e.l.f. Halo Glow setting powder, and it's in the shade, I think it's light. It's the lightest one anyway. And I'm just going to tap a little bit out to the lid. You don't need a huge amount of this. And I'm just going to pop that there. You do kind of want to set this foundation. I do anyway, but I like setting my foundation in general. But because it's quite dewy, it does feel like it needs something to just kind of tell it to stay where it needs to be. Not that I've had any issue with moving around, because I have I've worn it over several hours, and I've been out and about in it, not like doing much, but just like, you know, outside and contemplating my life, you know, that sort of thing. I did put my lashes on in a very precarious way, so, you know, don't judge me. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's lockdown, you know, they just have to be on. I don't have any new brow products, so I'm going to do that off camera. I'll come back and we'll do a little bit more. I'm back. The brows are done. We're getting there. We're motoring on. I have this W7 Life's a Beach matte bronzing powder in the shade Beach Please. Again, this was gifted to me by Paula. It's a dark enough shade. It'd be great if I could open it, wouldn't it? There we go. It's dark enough for me, but I have to be very light with it and can make it work. So I'm using the Sigma large angled contour brush F40 and just taking, I mean, the slightest amount, because it is quite pigmented. And at least, you know, if you take a small amount, you can build it up, but you can't really blend it out that much. I have been watching Robert Welsh, and he was saying if you are doing things like this, you shouldn't be going back and forth with your brushes like that. Did just reach in for a little bit more, and he said you should either be going this way constantly or this way constantly. So I am listening, Robert. I'm listening to you. I hear you. I want to be better at the makeup, and I am actually. Initially, I wasn't too sure, because I am of the opinion that there aren't really any rules to makeup, that you can do what you want. It's whatever works best for you. But he kind of clarified that in a video where he was saying, yes, you can do whatever you want with your makeup, but there are actually rules to, like, things like color theory, and there are technically rules to makeup in the sense of how you would apply them and how it'll work best. I'm just going to do this now. There we go. And I do think like that little tip has helped quite a bit. And a little bit along here, even though it's going to be covered up by my fringe. But sure, look, why not? I'll give it a go. The amount of people I'd say just getting sunburned these days is like insane. Not me though, because I'm super pale, and I know that if I go out, that's how ruin my skin. So I'm trying to avoid all of that. There we go. I like that. Next thing that we have, well, I have to get the brush out for it so I can actually smoosh it onto my face. That'd be helpful, wouldn't it? Oh my god, I have so many brushes. Yeah, brushes. So I'm using this Real Techniques buffing brush. I do find it very handy, and I'm going into Benefit Georgia, which was gifted to me by my mother for my birthday. A lot of these were essentially birthday presents. This is what it looks like. It's not wildly pigmented, so you can actually be fairly like generous with it when you're applying it. There is an interesting sort of a fragrance to it. I don't really know how to describe it. It's like, I want to say that it's kind of a little bit like an old woman. You know, like an old woman perfume. I don't know how to describe it. It's very odd. It's not like unpleasant. Like, it wouldn't be a fragrance I would gravitate towards, but like whatever. I like the shade, and there's a little bit of a sheen to it, and you can build it up quite nicely. It does take a bit of building up, that's what I will say. It doesn't like appeal immediately. I do like the actual shade itself, because I'm getting more into like orangey tones now that we're coming into the summer. I don't want pinks as much. I mean, I'll still wear them, Lord knows, but it's nice to see this. Yeah, I think that's quite nice. Again, I have to set the rest of my face. So again, I have the setting powder. I'm going to shove more of that out onto here. Maybe more than that now, pet. Yeah, and I'm taking this Ofra brush and I'm just gonna smoosh it and swoosh it all over the down place. I think that looks fairly nice. I also have this Illuminating in Ireland, which was again gifted to me by Elena because she is far too fabulous and generous. And actually, I've taken to using this shade Limerick as a little bit of like a blush topper to give that extra bit of a sheen. So I'm going in with the buffing brush again. And I'm just gonna pop that on top because it complements Georgia quite nicely, I think anyways. I don't want to put a huge amount on because I've obviously already put some blush on. If you know me, you know that I generally, when I'm putting on highlighter, I like to put my setting spray on first and then put on the highlight because it catches it a bit better. But I'm going to go in first without, and I'm going to go into the shade Charmed, which is this one, and I'm using my Sigma High Cheekbone Highlighter. It's the F03. I'm going into that. I want to show you kind of what it looks like without me doing that trick. Let's see. Don't get a huge amount of illumination, which is funny because it is quite illuminating in Ireland, and I am in Ireland, as the title suggests. You can see it gives a little bit, but it's nothing wild, nothing major, nothing to be like, oh my god, I can be seen from the moon, which is generally what I like. I do like that in highlight. It gives a little bit, but as you can see, not a huge amount. Now, let me show you when I do this. By the way, it's the NYX Dewy Setting Spray. I'm going into the the same one again, and I just go do a little boop to see how it pops up that little bit more. And again, this becomes that little bit more lit. And I know I've already put like a little base down of that, but you can see how much quicker it kind of comes up. So yeah, that is that one. And we're pretty much nearly there now. I know, we're getting there. And I have the Charlotte Tilbury K.I.S.S.I.N.G lipstick in the shade Love Bite that was gifted to me by Rosie. She's fabulous. Her channel is down below in the description. Do please give her a follow. She is just a lovely human being. And I have to pair that with the shade Pumpkin by Lime Crime because they're actually really quite close in terms of colour. So that's what that looks like. I'm going to go and make myself look a little bit more presentable. I'm going to fix my hair, and then we're going to come back and we're going to have a little chat about all of these products and what I thought of them. I'm back. I've made myself look a little bit more presentable, and you can kind of see the full face there. Will we start off first with the eyeshadow palettes? So we have 3 in all to talk about, varying from a little bit bougie to more affordable. So I'm going to start off with the bougie. So this is Natasha Denona, the Mini Tropic palette. I got this because, well, the colours are interesting to me, and I didn't want the full Tropic palette. It was very, God forgive me, boring. There, I said it. But this, very, very nice. The blue shade works fabulously. It's so, so nice. You could just even put all of that over your lid and it looks beautiful. The mattes blend really, really nicely. I actually think that I prefer getting the small little Natasha Denona's than say the larger 5-pan ones. They're $25, around about the same amount in pounds, which is weird if you're on Cult Beauty, because Cult Beauty have finally started stocking this one. I do think it's really, really nice. If I was giving this a rating of 10 out of 10, I would give it an 8.5 out of 10. The only thing that I would take the mark down for is I wish there was a matte green in there, because the only mattes that are there is a blue and a purple, and it's difficult to kind of integrate the green in there as a result. That's my main thing. I've found that I've had to pop into another palette to kind of get that to work, which is fine because it's a small palette, but at the same time it is $25, so I do like to get my use out of it. This is the Jungle Rock palette. This is gifted to me by Elena. She again has a review of that. I've said that already, but again, check it out. This is what it looks like. You can tell this has been used. She pointed out as well in terms of the black that you do almost have to kind of scrape into it to get it to work, and I found the same. The blue is a funny one. It's not a shimmer, but it's not a matte. It's somewhere in between. It's like a satin sort of a formula, and it's okay, but you do have to build it. It's nothing compared to the blue in this. This shade, Big Peacock Energy. I mean, Elena was like, Teresa will like this, and I'm like it? I love it. I love it. The green itself is just beautiful. These shimmers are really nice. They worked really, really well. Excuse me. I think I've tested most of the shades here. I think I haven't really tested Ape Shit because, well, I don't really do browns that much. In all, I think it's pretty good. The purple can be a little bit patchy. It kind of worked today, but on other occasions I found that it doesn't work that fabulously, but I did have it with other things, and I think that helped to kind of smooth it out a little bit. If I was giving this a mark out of 10, I would give it an 8 out of 10 because I do think it works pretty darn well. The price point is really, really good. There's just one or two shades that I think need a little bit more work, that being that purple feline myself I think is the blue, which is called Deeper, needs to kind of be reformulated, I think, and then the black can be a bit weird. It doesn't really blend that well with other things. Then we have the Trendy in Tokyo. I didn't use that much today. I used it mostly for Kyoto, which actually works really well as a dark purple. That blends really, really nicely. Wasabi, I love. Let's face it, it's green. Tempura I found was, and I used it in another video in a makeup recreation. It took a lot of work to get it to show up. That's because it's quite neon-y pastel, which is unusual. I've used pretty much all of the shades here and they did work really, really nicely. Some of the mattes are a little bit more difficult to blend and they don't necessarily turn up on the eyelid as nicely as you would think, but in all I think this retails for $16. It's currently on sale for $8 as I'm filming. Do I think it's worth that? Hells yes. So actually I would give this a 9.5 out of 10 because I think in general it actually works really, really darn well. The price point is really, really good. I just think it's fun and funky. And I love it anyway because it was gifted to me by Elena, so I was always going to end up loving it. The next things I have to talk about are the foundation. So the Revolution Pro CC Perfecting Foundation, I have it in F1. I think it gives you a really, really nice finish. It is very, very dewy. It lasts really well all day. It is a very buildable foundation. I personally like to set it, like even I feel like my face is a little bit like, I'm going to say it, I'm sorry. But I do think it's really nice and I think it's good for the price point, so I'd happily recommend that. The next thing then I have is the brush by Bare Minerals. I really, 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 really like this. It blends everything really, really beautifully. You don't end up with any streaks as you sometimes do with brushes. It doesn't soak up a chunk of your foundation, which is really annoying, let's face it. It blends it really, really nicely, and I am going through a bit of a brush phase rather than a sponge phase at the moment, so that was very much appreciated. Next thing we have is the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer in Fair Rose, which is the shade that seems to suit me really well. I think it is really nice. It doesn't settle into any of my fine lines, but bearing in mind that I did use that quite a bit with the Zoeva concealer buffer brush, and I think the two of these together worked as a little bit of a dream team. I kind of have to talk about the two of them together. I think this helped make sure that things didn't get settled into weird places. This wears really, really nicely through the day. It doesn't end up oxidizing or changing color, which is really, really nice. And yeah, I think it's really quite good for the under eyes. I was very happy with that. I also have the e.l.f. Halo Glow setting powder. A little of this goes quite a long way in my opinion. It does give you a little bit of a glow, but not so much that you're like, you know, an extra from Twilight. It is quite nice. It's quite finely milled, which is unusual for like a more affordable brand. So again, I'd happily recommend this. We have the W7 Life's a Beach Matte Bronzing Powder in the shade Beach Please. This is probably a tad too dark for me, and it leans a little bit orange. It isn't exactly, I think if it was more cool tone, because I do have quite a cool undertone to my face, I can kind of make it work, but it is difficult. And what I will say is it's so pigmented that it's difficult to kind of get it. I have found like I do look a little bit, I don't want to say clownish, but it doesn't always look the best on me. It can be hit or miss. This is not a bronzer you would want to have in your possession if you were like, I really need to make sure this is a flawless look, because this could actually, it could go really nice, and then it could also just go a bit weird and a bit patchy. Like even there you can kind of see it's tricky to get it to blend with other things. I do, however, love it because it was sent to me by Paula, so I just even love that she was so sweet to send this on. I would, however, give it a 5 out of 10. I wouldn't necessarily recommend buying it. I think there are other drugstore alternatives that are a little bit better and do blend a little bit better. I then had the Benefit Georgia blush. It's nice. I got it in the mini. I do think it takes a lot to build up the colour, which I actually kind of appreciate, because it's less likely that I'm going to make a fool of myself and end up like a clown. And the colour itself is really nice. It's orange. I don't like the smell. I just don't like the smell. So for that reason, I would give this an 8 out of 10. It gives a lovely finish, lovely colour, but the smell, don't like it. I don't. I'm sorry. It is what it is. I then have the Illuminating in Ireland. It probably isn't the best shades for me because I am Casper the Friendly Ghost, but I did manage to get quite a few to work for me. I'm wearing this as a highlight at the moment, and I have this as a sort of a blush topper. It works really nicely. It isn't the most blinding highlight, but if you use it with my setting spray trick, it's not my setting spray trick, but I like to use it. Somebody else came up with it, I'm sure. Then it works quite nicely. And again, I just love it because it has sentimental value. It's not wildly expensive. I think it's $16 again, but it's down to like $8. So I think that for the price and for what you're getting, I think it's pretty darn good. So I'd quite happily recommend it. I give it maybe a 7 out of 10 because it isn't the most blinding highlight, but you can manipulate it to get it a bit more kapow. And now we're on to the very, very last item, as far as I can remember. It is the Charlotte Tilbury K.I.S.S.I.N.G lipstick in the shade Love Bite. And it's quite a moisturizing formula. And usually with a bullet lipstick, you'll find that they'll kind of fade and you have to reapply. I have had this on for hours at a time where there's been no movement, there's been no budge, and I haven't had to reapply it, which is kind of amazing, particularly considering it's a bullet, it's not a liquid lipstick, and it's not a matte, it's quite a sheeny formula. It's super, super comfortable on the lips. I really enjoy the formula, and the actual shade itself, it's red, but it leans a little bit orange. So it reminds me a little bit, just ever so slightly, of Pumpkin by Lime Crime. So if you like that shade but you don't want it in a matte liquid lipstick, which is what that is in lime crime, this is a really nice little alternative. So I would happily give this a 10 out of 10. Yes, it is pricey, but I think actually because the longevity is really, really good, you could get a good bit of wear out of this. And it's the first Charlotte Tilbury lipstick I've ever had. And all I can say is, damn you, Rosie, because now you've set me off on a path of just wanting more and more and more. And I didn't need that in my life. If you know me, you will know that, well, just keep buying things. It's a terrible, terrible problem. Oh, I did have the Suva liners as well. How did I forget about those? Why didn't you tell me? You're bad friends. So I have quite a few of the liners here. I used White Panda today, but I do have other ones such as Acid Trip Tracksuit, Grape Soda, lots of other things. I like them. I think you do have to think about how to get them to work, and they are great in the sense that, I mean, the company Zoeva, because I bought them directly via them, they did send out information as to how to get them to work, and I think that is really, really helpful. I'm not great with liners, like I'm not. I do have to like put the sellotape down to make sure that I haven't screwed it up, because it will go all over the place and I do find it hard to get the lines right. So don't judge the liner based on that, but you can see it is quite opaque. It does give quite an interesting sort of a finish. I don't know how well you can see it there. I'll zoom you in. You can kind of see it there. If I take the glasses and do that. But I do think it kind of gives a little bit of drama. I do like the neon-y ones that they have. And they're not wildly expensive. You get a lot of product. If I look, excuse me, if I look at them, because I've kept some of them in their boxes, so I just think they're so friggin' cute. There's 10 grams, so 10 grams in one of these, and they retail for €12.53 on Suva Beauty's website. I actually think that's really good, and like, the best before is for 24 months from opening, so you're going to get a lot of wear out of them. So I happily recommend those. I think I would give them a 9.5 out of 10. The only reason I'm taking the 0.5 off is more because I'm really rubbish at liners, and I wish there was an easier way to do it. But in fairness, I should actually give them a 10 out of 10. I do really enjoy them. I think the colours are fun and funky, and they are better value than, say, if you're getting ABH's or Norvena's, rather, cake liners. I think these are probably a better deal in all. But that is it. That is my whole review roundup. I've used these over a number of days, so I can let you know what my opinion is rather than trying to generate a quick first impression. That is it. Do please like, comment and subscribe. That's weirdly helpful, and I do like it. I love a bit of attention. Do please share, because sharing is caring, unless of course it's an STD, in which case, you know, wrap it up. Although social distancing does seem to be kind of helping us with that. You know, it's much more difficult to date, and now I finally have a valid excuse for being single. I'm like, well, you know, the COVID. What you gonna do? But that is it. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.